All right, we're going to finish the rest of 29b. Take a look at number 35, completing the square. Now, there are 4 ways to solve quadratics. One of them is by factoring, one of them is by graphing, or you can complete the square, or you can use the quadratic formula. And only completing the square and quadratic formula work all the time. Graphing doesn't work if it misses the x-axis. Factoring doesn't work if the answers are irrational or imaginary. But completing the square always works. Okay, so let's look at number 36 first. In order to complete the square, I need to take the constant and move it to the other side. So y squared plus 8y, leave a space, equals 2. And what we're going to do is turn this quadratic into a perfect square trinomial. A perfect square trinomial is something like this. X minus 6 to the second. Well, if I distribute out x minus 6 to the second, so I'd go like this, and I would get x squared. What would the middle term be? Minus 6 minus 6 is negative 12x plus 36. And we can actually use this pattern to work backwards. If you notice, this term is what compared to that number? It's twice as big. And this term is what compared to that number? It's the square of negative 6, right? So here is a quadratic that we want to make a perfect square. And the pattern is we're going to have y plus something to the second. Well, what something would make 8y? It would have to be half that big. So this would be plus 4. But if it is plus 4, what number goes there? So we're going to add 16. And that is the pattern we're going to use every time. Middle term cut in half goes into the factor. The factor squared is the constant. But now I've taken a balanced equation and I've just added 16 pounds to one side. So I need to add that same 16 to the other side to level it off. So plus 16. And now I have y plus 4 to the second equals 18. Now what? Square root, y plus 4 equals, don't forget the plus or minus, and 18. Does 18 have any perfect square factors? 4 doesn't go in 18. 9 does. So it's root 9 times root 2, and the square root of 9 is 3. So this is 3 root 2. And then I move the 4 to the other side, and we usually put irrational numbers last. So this would be negative 4 plus or minus 3 root 2. Okay, so look at number 35. What do I need to do to start? Should I move the 3 back to the left? No, why not? I need it on the right side to complete the square. So the perfect square factor is going to be x plus 1, which is half of the middle term 2. Well, if 1 is the factor, what is the constant? 1 times 1 is 1, so I'm going to add 1 here, and I'm going to add 1 here. So I get x plus 1 squared equals 4. Now I square root, and I get x plus 1 equals plus or minus 2. Everybody okay with that? That was 4 came from 3 plus 1. So then I subtract 1. What is plus or minus 2 minus 1? Don't say plus or minus 1. It doesn't work that way. So it's 2 minus 1 is 1. Negative 2 minus 1 is negative 3. So the factors here are x equals 1 and negative 3. Okay? Let's work 40 together because it's a little bit harder. I'm going to move that 12 to the other side. x squared minus 7x, leave a space, equals negative 12. Okay. So x minus what? You could say 3.5, but trust me when I say that fractions will make the problem way easier. 7 over 2. 7 over 2 squared. Well, what is 7 over 2 squared? 7 squared is 49, and you want to leave it in fraction form, trust me, over 4. So I'm going to add 49 over 4, and in my calculator, if it ever wakes up, let's do negative 12 plus 49 fourths, and then I want math fraction, 1/4. So 1 over 4. Now the reason I wanted to leave it in fraction form is square rooting fractions is much easier than square rooting decimals. Because you square root decimal, it's just a disaster. So we square root this, and on the right side we square root the 1 and we square root the 4. And I get x minus 7 over 2 is equal to plus or minus root 1 is 1, root 4 is 2. And then I add 7/2 to that. So what is 1/2 plus 7/2? 8/2, which is 4. And negative 1/2 plus 7/2 is 6/2, which is 3. So the answers here are 4 and 3. Okay? Yeah. So there is a way to complete the square if there's a leading coefficient. It's a mess. I don't want to do it. If there's a leading coefficient, use the quadratic formula. If it doesn't factor and there's a leading coefficient, use the quadratic formula. There is a way to complete the square, but I'm not going to teach it to you because the only other time you need to do that trick is something you don't need in this class. So cross off. Don't do 42 through 46. So 42 to 46, cross those off. We're not going to do those. 41. Well, yeah, don't do 41 either. So 41 to 46, cross those off. So all of 29b is due tomorrow. So that it has been changed. 29b is now 23 to 40. 23 to 40. That's 29b. Okay? All right. Good luck.